Good morning, or rather good evening, world. This is not a test, this is rock and roll. Are you ready to rumble? Well, I hope so, because this is the ultimate life course. And today we are discussing a very fascinating topic. The topic of happiness. Cue the flag intro. Okay. Load up. There we go. Woo! Back at it again. Okay. So, happiness. Wow, this is gonna be an interesting topic, and I seem really happy right now. I'm here in my bathrobe, chilling out, and I am happy right now. But I am one form of happy. We are gonna discuss different forms of being happy, and I got myself into that state where I am at right now in the last half an hour, or maybe even more. I wanted to start this stream much earlier. At the first time I wanted to start the stream was at 19 o'clock, and now it's 22. So 3 hours ago, that's when I first wanted to start the stream, but it didn't feel right, and I wasn't called to do the stream, and I didn't feel high yet. I was really tired, and I needed to show myself that I can change my state, because it's one of the tools that I will be teaching you today. So, a few tools you see already in the title. Maybe you're quite curious about what those means. Wait, let's go quickly through it. If you scroll down in the description, by the way, you will find what I'm now reading out loud, basically. And also, you will find the link to sign up to the Ultimate Life Course. And if you sign up, you will get to the description where I put in the songs that I used and the playlists that I used to get myself from being down to being fully in here again, and in me and in this moment. So, wait, I gotta move away all the distracting screens. Too many screens, man. We are living in a world of so many screens, and I actually got a second screen today, so I now got the setup with two screens here, and of course the camera screen up there, and I'm basically surrounded by screens. And by the way, the screen, a new computer, and stuff like much more costs only for me. I found someone that gave it to me for 15 euros on Facebook Marketplace. How awesome is that? Well, I know that you're not here for that. You are here to find out what actually is happiness, and how does one become happy, and what is life all about. This is why you're watching the Ultimate Life Course. You want to find out, is happiness actually the thing that I should strive towards or not? And it's not such an easy answer. We gotta dive deeper into that. And I always say, keep the main thing, and the main thing is happiness. But while I was creating this video, or thinking about creating this video, I had to reflect a lot. And also, I always did emotional fitness training. And yesterday I said, today I'm gonna teach and train emotions and emotional fitness training. But today, to serve you the best way, I had to research what is actually the difference between emotions and feelings and intuitions and like those gut feelings. Like, there are different kinds of things, and I found it fascinating to understand the difference between emotion and feeling, and it helped me so much to actually find what was blocking me. Because Emotional fitness training was the thing that got me into personal development uh, when I was 9 years ago, about 9 years ago, um, maybe a little more, and when I was 14 years old. And I remember, actually, maybe I was 14 years old. That's what I'm always saying. Maybe I was 13. I remember at least it was one of my very first audiobooks. I gotta have been 14. Uh, that doesn't matter, goddamn. Mama. What matters is that I was very much in love with this girl. Uh, yeah, let's call her E. No, let's call her uh, the girl. You know, I don't want to say her name publicly. Maybe she isn't comfortable with that. I would be. But I was so in love with this girl for freaking 6 years, and when I saw her, my heart pounded. Like when I saw her miles away, when we were doing sports together, when we had girls and boys sports mixed, I was suddenly boom. I was there because I wanted to show her, and I know that she didn't even get everything, but I already wrote her love letters while I was in primary school. I already told her in primary school that I'm gonna marry her, but she never really it never developed into anything. And um, then I guess the first piece that got me into person development was my mom telling me, "Hey, bullying," because back then I was bullied. That was actually the first step. Bullying, there are always two people. One, it's is the bully, but you could say one is life, one is whatever is bullying you right now. That doesn't have to be a person's necessarily. And the other is the one that is allowing the bullying to happen, to allow to the victim. And I was allowing to be a victim. And there was a time when I felt so alone, and someone just kept pushing it further and further by hitting me with a bottle, where I asked him and pleaded with him, and then I just had this moment where I remembered that line, and I was like, boom, no, things are gonna change around here. I took the bottle, I took him, laid him on the floor very carefully while not overstepping my desire not to hurt anyone. I didn't want to hurt him, but I just had to draw a line. And if there's something in your life that is bullying you with some situation, draw that line right now and say, I'm gonna change that. I'm no longer gonna be the victim. I don't know why I put this in the happiness stream, but I feel like I have to say that right now. If you're in any situation right now that you don't like, change it. Yeah. You're not the victim of that situation. I know there are like a million big round butts dropping on me right now from your side. And you can put them in the comments so my video gets higher rankings. But I'm gonna turn on the second light. Okay, that second light didn't work. Well, that's alright. And if you can't change it, you gotta change what you like. You gotta accept that. Like I can't right now turn on the light, and I'm fully okay with it. I do feel like, oh, why can't I like this annoyance? But if I just accept it, I can use it as a prop to explain something to you. And what I want to explain is actually the first thing for the happiness equation. The happiness equation is basically that. Was it also from Tony Robbins? So the basic principle is the blueprint. If your blueprint, okay, no, it's better if I don't tell it to you. Before you know that it's true, you gotta first know that it's true before I tell you what it is. So, what is an area in your life? One area, one part of your life, be it maybe your family, maybe your friends, maybe the relationship with one friend, maybe your body, maybe your spiritual life, maybe your emotional life, maybe your career, finances, maybe your way of being on a mission, maybe your life vision, how clear it is right now. Like, what is it? And now, okay, you are happy in that category. And now tell me, if in that category, is it true that what you expect where you should be at in that category is also like basically what your blueprint is saying, this is how life should be in this category, is the same as it is in reality? Yeah? Yeah, that's basically the equation. Meaning, blueprint equals reality results into happiness. But I feel like this is much too A, heady, and B, like, yeah, if life is how it should be, then you're happy. But there is something awesome about this, because I thought about how can you solve that. And you can solve that by, of course, A, changing what you think should be, your blueprint of how life is supposed to be, and B, changing the reality and actually taking action to change what is and not be a victim anymore. Like, those are the two ways to handle this. And so if you can, like, imagine you are unhappy because you want to have a baby and you can't anymore. So, but you can't control that. But what you can then do, like normally you would just, if you see yourself and want to have a body that is full of strength and you don't right now, you can change your body. But if you truly aren't capable of changing the situation in that moment, like you want to have a baby but your body isn't able anymore to produce a baby, maybe there will happen a miracle if you work on it, or if you actually research it and put all your resourcefulness inside of you to change it. But if you know it's just not going to happen, and you know it's impossible because maybe as a man you want to have a baby, but you know you already cut that part off, so it's actually physically impossible to produce functioning sperm for you. Or yeah, you castrated yourself already. So then you have to change the blueprint of what you expected your life to be. You can't just stay unhappy. And we actually already, like, it's a normal thing. There is a TED talk explaining the, how was it called? The immune system, the emotional immune system, or like the happiness immune system. Meaning, it also described the emotional set point that, hey, You could win a lottery ticket, or you could become a quadriplegic. Which one would you rather have? And now imagine how your life would be different in 1 year from now. If you either won €1,000,000 and won the lottery or became quadriplegic. How much more happy would you be if you became a millionaire than a quadriplegic? And the difference is practically zero. So that's because they changed their blueprint, both of them, and they got back to their set point, and that way both are after 1 year at the same happiness level. They are getting back to the same happiness level they were beforehand. Isn't that quite fascinating? And so what we can though do, instead of just saying, okay, then I shouldn't want that, for one, you can just change it a slight bit. Like you could adopt a child, or you can do something like you can adopt a child, you can marry someone who already has a child, or get in a relationship with someone who has a child. You know, all these kinds of possibilities, of course. And wait, this live stream. We'll pause this. Alright. Yeah. Or make it like this. Perfect. And yeah, I think we have to go back to what is happiness. I want to quickly talk about what we are talking about. Meaning, happiness can be the short-term feeling of happiness, and we are gonna learn how to change any feeling you have today, because you do your feelings. You don't do your emotions. You do affect your emotions through your feelings a little bit as well. And you don't do your intuitions, but you do your feelings. And then we will also talk about states, because Tony actually did stuff wrong. Like, he taught emotional fitness training even though it wasn't emotional fitness training, and that forked me up for quite a while, because I felt guilty when I had the emotion of sadness, even though it should be the other way around. If I had known what I know, what I have got to know today, it would be so much different. So, first I alluded to how to solve the happiness equation in a different way. And it is truly about fully first accepting what is, loving what is, loving reality, how it is, and then, because what happens when you do that, what happens when you fully accept and love reality how it is, that basically means you reset your whole blueprint, and you get your blueprint on where you are right now. You see? And then you are instantly happy, because your whole blueprint of how life should be is fully, life right now should be how it is right now. And you're not judging yourself that I'm not there or there. If you are judging, if you once missed some birthday, or you weren't there. Like I just saw a video earlier this week where a man was judging himself because he wasn't at the birthday of his no, at the operation of his father, where his father could have died, and he was judging himself so horribly that it blocked him in life, and even that he felt guilty, so that he didn't talk as much with his father because he felt so guilty every time he went towards his father. So that blocked him even more. And then he just fully accepted and loved that part, and then from there he saw the opportunities how to make it even better, because that's the first step is fully loving what is, and the second step is instantly after that become a visionary, instantly after that see the future better as it is, or see how it could be even better, and then move towards that, and you go instantly again into what excites you right now in this moment. You go into that direction that excites you from already a place of happiness. And I think that is the key thing. Tapping into your happiness right now by fully accepting and loving what is. And as soon as you accepted what is, there will show something up that would excite you, where you want to go from here, and you can much easier, without all the blockages of what was, without all the judgments, as the core you in flow, move towards that new vision, that new excitement, and you actually can create from there and think clearly again. Makes sense? All right, this is the hack I found, or that I feel right now coming through, how to solve that happiness equation in an awesome way. Because I always thought that I had to, like, make compromises, meaning, all right, I'm not there, so now I have to compromise and cut something off. It felt like cutting, like, okay, I can't have that, so now I'm just okay with that. And that felt so weird. But if you actually just say, and I love that, and now I'm excited to do X, it does something to you. It's really fascinating. You gotta try it. But let's get more practical, shall we? Because I know a lot of people may... Wait, let's put the light underneath here. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, like this. I think this looks even better. Yeah. Look at it. Looks good, right? Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's get into the tools. But which one? Then I will share the tools, and no, I think the tools that are in the title. The blueprint we already talked about. The dial and the triad. Oh, interesting. Oh, the dial I like. The triad as well. God damn, those are two powerful tools. So, let's first talk about the triad. Yes. Talk about the triad. The triad is the thing that got me into personal development and that got me so excited. And the triad is there to change your feelings. What are emotions and feelings? And what is the difference? Emotions, if you look it up, what the definition of emotions is, it's a physical thing. And Paul Ekman actually identified the 6 primary emotions. If you have seen the show, I think, Lie to Me, this is a portrayal of Paul Ekman's work, like it's inspired by him. Primary emotions. It's basically sadness, happiness, anger, fear, disgust, and there are specific phases to each one. Yeah, anger, happiness, surprise, disgust, and sadness and fear. Those are the 6 emotions, and they are a physical reaction to what happens through stimuli. Meaning it's not something that you can or should necessarily even control. This is part of evolution, and it made you it's just something that instantly happens biochemically. Of course, you can change your biochemistry, and we will discuss how very quickly, also instantly, because you can trigger even those emotions. But really, what we are doing is changing the feelings. The feelings are basically judgments of the emotions. Feelings are there, is what how you mentally interpret your emotions and actually what you make out of. For instance, fear. Out of fear, you can make excitement as a feeling. The feeling would be, oh, I'm so excited. And it's the same expression, it's the same thing that you're doing. Like you're standing on an edge where you have to where you want to jump down towards you want to jump down a cliff, and your body signals fear, and that's the emotion. But the feeling that you have is excitement. You see, before you go on a stage, emotion is fear, the same signals. And you can then make out of it a feeling of horror, like, oh, I see that I'm getting a panic attack, oh my god. Or you can see, oh my god, I see how ready I am, I'm so freaking excited about this. And it's the same emotion, but a different feeling. And you can train how you react with your feelings. And the same with sadness, disgust, anger, happiness, surprise. Each and every one of those isn't positive or negative. Emotions can't be negative or positive. It's just a reality that you have to also do the same thing as with the blueprint. You have to accept that reality. You have to love that reality. Like I earlier was feeling really down. That happened to be because I was just super tired, and through my tiredness, I had a different physiology, and I had a very slumped physiology, and I was also watching videos about regrets of at the end of your life, and I was just making myself depressed by changing my focus and my physiology, and by giving all of that the meaning that I would not be worthy to talk about happiness in a video. And those are basically the triad, by the way, that I just revealed. If you have caught that, I will repeat it later on again. And I was just making myself so sad. And first, I judged that sadness, that emotion. And I had to then see and change my blueprint in, oh, I'm sad. And I love that. I love that I'm sad right now because this, and then something came through because this gives me the opportunity to prove my thesis and to give an example that I just experienced. And then I changed. I already fully loved the experience of sadness, and then transformed it where I'm now in a much more happier state and feeling, and that also then goes back to the emotion. Yeah, I know, it's a little bit complicated, but first comes the emotion, then the feeling is there to judge the emotion, and then it goes back, the feeling then later influences also the emotion, because that's the news, because through that feeling you put yourself in a different situation, and the situation affects again the emotion, meaning situation that you're in affects the emotion, affects, or no, and then you create a feeling based on an emotion, and your and those three things: physiology, the meaning or language that you put on it, and the focus that you have on that, in that situation and emotion. And then through the feeling that you put on it, you then change your situation, which then and again changes the emotion. Make sense? All right. Ah, this is so much more powerful than you get right now. Wait, this is a little bit too light, too much light. And this is so heady right now. We have to get this knowledge down in our body, because you can even understand what I just said, but you wouldn't put it into practice. That's why repetition is the mother of skill. And there are different levels of knowing. You can know it in your head, you can know it in your body, or you can know it as a part of you and who you are in your soul and heart. And that's in more scientific term, it's called unconscious. There are 4 levels of knowledge in more scientific terms. Unconscious, not knowing, meaning you're not conscious that you're not knowing something. Then conscious, not knowing. Then conscious knowing, that's much more in your mind. And then unconscious knowing, meaning that it's so ingrained that you don't even think about that you know it anymore, and you just know it. Well, I don't know how important that part was. I see today I'm still not fully in flow and still judging what I'm saying. That's interesting, isn't it? So, how can we go back to being into flow? What I'm reading right now is what I wanted to share with you. The triad. Let's draw the triad quickly. Where do we? There we go. Pencil and a paper. All right. Deep work in progress. Do not disturb sign. All right, I love it. And hey, I can also draw it on the computer. How? Then you can better see it. Online whiteboard. I will share the screen with you in a moment. And perfect. Okay, and share desktop. Add my camera. All right, nice. Cool. This is a pretty awesome app where you can draw stuff, basically. And Okay, whatever. Let's just start drawing. So, doom, doom, doom. This is the triad. And these are your feelings. Alright? Feelings. And these are your emotions. This is the hallelujah situations. And as we said, situation affects the emotion, if emotion affects your feeling, and the feeling affects the situation, which then leads in a circle and affects each other. Exactly. And your feelings is made up out of number one. What was number one? Physiology, meaning basically your goddamn sexy body. There we go. Wow. Masterfully drawn, I know. And your physiology, that's what the P stands for. You got it, right? Physiology. And then, because that's the quickest way to change your feelings and your emotions actually. When you change your physiology radically, when you start dancing, when you go running, when you do push-ups, that's what I started with. When you do the breathing exercise we did yesterday, I did all of these before I started this because I wanted to get out of the low and out of the tiredness. So first off, we got the physiology. Then, so if you are in a slump right now, pause the live stream, I guess, or pause the video if you watch it later, and go for a run. Do some push-ups. Do a few check. How are they called in English? You know those Hampelmänner in German. And also, the second thing that you can do is put on some awesome music that I linked in the description when after you signed up to the Ultimate Life Course membership site. It's free. Just sign up with the link in the description, because then you got access to all the other stuff and also to the playlists and a few special songs that I selected that helped me out of my slump just before I started this stream. So, and number two, after you changed your physiology, by the way, those three also affect each other. You gotta change what you focus on. Focus. Let's, this could be the bullseye. Right here, focus. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, focus. All right, and your focus is in every situation. There is stuff that you interpret as negative and as positive. And you can always focus on what's bad. You can always focus on the past and focus on the future. As a rule, and you know rules can be broken, it's best, if you want to get to a reset to happiness, that's what we are doing when we fully accept and love reality. Your focus should just be something that is super right now and present. Ideally, something you control. And that's why meditation works. Because in meditation, you just focus on your breath. You only work with your focus and a little bit with your physiology by changing it to a slow breathing pace. If you want to, by the way, create a specific emotional state, you look at the physiology, the focus, and the third thing of that person. Let's quickly reveal the third thing. The third thing, I already mentioned it once, is the meaning. Oh, by the way, I forgot something in focus. The meaning. If you can read that, you're a genius. Congrats. No. Yes, you are. There is a part of you, at least, that is a genius, and there is a part of you that is a freaking dummy, like in all of us. Okay, so meaning, or the words you use to describe what is happening, because in those words there is the meaning hidden. If you describe how you describe your emotion, for instance, that you're feeling, or the effects that the emotion is just the physical thing that is happening to you when something happens. It's your knees shaking, your hands shaking. It is the smile on your face or the tear running down your face. That is the emotion. But then you can put so many words on that tear. You can and on the situation. You can describe this moment as and you can label the feeling that you're having as magical and life destroying in the same moment with the same content. You can describe it as extremely deep and life altering, like you're feeling like this moment is extremely meaningful and life altering, and or you can say it's extremely horrible and life destroying. And it's the same, it could be the same situation. Like, just imagine a bird flying through the sky, and you just watch it catch a fish, and then you have some kind of emotion, and then what is the feeling you put on that emotion? How you describe that situation? Do you describe it as either, oh, this stupid bird just shit over there, and why are there so many birds around us I want to eat? Or do you focus on, wow, look at this majestic, beautiful bird that is flying through the air. Man, that must feel so amazing to fly through the air. You see, it's not that easy to explain, but I feel like you get it. And focus is also, focus is the questions you ask yourself, because all that thinking is a series of questions and answers unconsciously. But this is all about changing your feelings, and you can do that in the long term or the short term. Meaning, you can change your physiology in the short term by just breathing differently, standing up differently. When an actor wants to portray an emotion, by the way, when an actor wants to really get into a character and wants to feel what they are feeling, they have to fully get their feeling right. And how they do that is by adapting their physiology, how they move, how they breathe, how they stand, changing the words that they use to describe things. You see, they change how they describe every situation and everything that is happening with their body. If they're playing a badass super character, they describe the fear as a feeling of power and readiness, and I feel boom, and they feel the sadness as a moment of contemplation and of deep reflection. And that's the meaning they put on those situations and the words they put on it, and that becomes the feeling of it. And even though the emotion is sadness, the feeling is contemplation and re-energizing and reloading. You see? And the focus is on, hey, where are we going from here? Or how does this destroy my life, depending what character you're playing. So if you want to get into an emotion, just imagine a person, imagine maybe a character in a movie, or just imagine a person. How are they moving? How are they using their words? What questions are they asking themselves about this moment? And then go for it. But before you do that, accept the emotion that you are having and don't judge yourself for it. Don't hate yourself because you hate yourself. Because you hate yourself. You see? Because only after you fully accepted what your emotions is, you can then create a feeling out of it. And I didn't do that. I thought, and I was taught that this triad actually is the triad to train your emotions. I wanted to never be sad. I wanted to train myself off of fear. And I was I was getting good at it. I was almost never feeling sad anymore. I was also almost never having any fears. Like, I could go anywhere, talk with anyone. I could sleep in caves, wander around in the night in some kind of mountain. I could in a city in a different country completely alone. I could go into dark alleys. I just didn't really feel fear or sadness. But also, I did feel joy, but at the same time, while that was happening, in the time where I didn't accept fully my emotions, I didn't feel that full, vibrant love where you have to be willing to love so deeply so that you're open to suffering. You're fully open to get everything broken down again. And that kind of love is hard to have, or impossible to have. For me, it was, at least that way, that I couldn't feel that love while I was still not accepting that I will ever, like, where I didn't ever want to feel sad or one of those quote unquote negative emotions. Even though for me it was clear that every negative emotion, or let's say every negative feeling, because that's what this actually it is all about, every negative feeling that you decided is negative. It's all coming from the meaning you put on it. It's the word negative feeling. This is negative that makes it negative. You see? The emotion can't be negative. The emotion can't ever be negative. Only the feeling, because you decide if the feeling is negative or positive. And that way you can actually create a life where you never feel bad. And every feeling becomes and every emotion becomes an informer to help you and to serve you. And your feelings will be there and your feelings are done by you consciously through changing and focusing on the meaning and the focus and the physiology. But you have to widen the gap between your emotions and your feelings. You have to make this gap conscious. Wait, I will change the color for a moment. This gap here between your feelings and your emotions. This looks beautiful, I know. This is your consciousness gap. It is where you can consciously create the focus and the meaning and the physiology that you want to go along with your emotions. By the way, I feel like the physiology is actually the only thing that is kind of in between emotions, and like that's why the quickest way to change your feelings and your emotions is physiology, because they are strongly linked, because it instantly creates a physical reaction. And then, if you change that physical reaction consciously from the situation, then it will also instantly affect your emotion, and this will also affect your meaning and the focus. You see? That's why it's the quickest way to do it without thinking much, without asking yourself what is beautiful about this moment, or without, hey, what labels do I want to use? But the other things create the deeper meaning of what is happening. And how do you widen this gap and make that gap bigger and bigger, so it's more and more easy to, oh, I sense that I'm feeling fear, I sense that I'm feeling sad, I sense that I'm feeling one of those 6 emotions. By the way, I will put those emotions as a picture in the description of inside of the membership side of this lesson. Yeah. And when you feel one of those, you can consciously or unconsciously create that feeling. And I want you to consciously design your life. And first thing is that you're gonna change your feelings, because this is your most powerful resource. Because from a different place of feeling, you will tap into a much more resourceful state where you can create anything. When you're in a state that is powerful for you, that moves you forward, you can change your situation and align your blueprint and situation again. Also, what is life all about? It's about having a good life, about the process being happy. And and you create that goodness in life by not allowing yourself to suffer from the emotions. You can actually decide, that you don't want to suffer anymore in the feelings, and that's how you do that, is by deciding that you won't ever put your focus, or you won't ever put any emotion, you won't judge it anymore as negative. You will always say, okay, this emotion is good, this emotion is amazing, I'm not suffering because of that emotion, because I fully accept it and love it. And then you focus on what is good on it, in that emotion and in that situation. And then you do something with it. You change your body, you change what you're doing. Make sense? And you widen that gap through, for instance, meditation. That's why it's so powerful. You widen that gap by training your focus, by training how you give meaning, and by training your body over time. And that's how you widen the gap. And meditation works just really, really well, because it just makes you more conscious of what's happening. But not just meditation, honestly, anything that connects you with yourself. You see? Going outside in nature, spending time with yourself, spending time following your heart. I think that's the core thing. Yeah. When you're connected with yourself, you can actually feel what's happened when you're connected with your body. For me, for instance, it helps to dance. a lot, because it connects me with my body, and that makes me much more aware of what emotions and things are happening in my body, and then I can accept them, see them, and then use them and create a feeling out of it. By the way, I don't know if I can find it, but hmm. I will also, I will write this down in the description. I gotta put, for one, the 6 primary emotions picture, and then I will also put in a course that I made that is in German. That, but I will also put in a short summary of that course into the description, and it's basically 10 emotional groups, which is really it was basically my first course I created while I was still in school, and it was mostly taken from a Tony Robbins book back then, and I just dove much deeper from there into each and every emotion, and created a video to each emotional group, and then explained, hey, this is for instance, negative emotion blah, and or negative feeling blah. Back then I called it emotion. So you think, no, that's not it. I'm still using the word negative. I called it, even back then, I called it, this is this kind of emotion, this action signal. That's how I called it. Every emotion is an action signal, either that you're doing something good or that you gotta change something. And those you could even describe as emotions. And I put each emotion, and then I told you, okay, this is the meaning you can put on it, this is the focus you can put on it, this is what you can do about it. And when you do that, this is, by the way, I told you basically this is what it means, and this is what you should focus on. But of course, you can always design your meaning. And then I told you what to do, and then you could actually take action and move forward. Basically, outsourcing your job of accepting what is, accepting your emotion, and then coming up with an meaning for you, and with a focus for you, and so on, so you don't have to work. And yeah, that's basically what I did, because also back then I wasn't as connected with my heart and much more in my mind, and I didn't fully understand it, and I am probably still not fully understanding it, and in a few years time I will explain how I didn't understand it back then in the first few videos that I made. Yeah, but that's how far I've gotten right now. So let's go into the dial, right? Have you understood this beautiful concept right here? Yeah? Hmm. If you have, congrats. If you don't, I will re-explain it. I will do whatever it takes. Uh, I gotta write down that I have to put summary plus course link to 10 course to my emotions courses. I wrote. I created like 3 courses, and an audio and an ebook, all around emotions. I'll just link to everything and give it all away for free. It's in German, but if you speak German, it's awesome for you. And if you don't, well, I will. I'm trying to give everything I got in these videos from a much more authentic and deeper place, where I'm not trying to put on a show. So I guess you're welcome for not having to go through my a little bit more thought out work, but at the same time also much more inauthentic in a way, because a lot of it was just copied or researched from other people. And of course, that has an amazing value, but it's not my deepest truth right now, and my highest truth. All right, let's jump back into the normal video and into the and away from the the desktop. All right, and we will talk about the dial. What else do we have to talk about? There's so many things that I thought about while creating this. No negative or positive emotions. What emotions? Let's quickly read the description of this video. So I'm making sure that I did everything. This video is an exploration of the main thing in life. It's happiness. Then if so, why? And what is happiness at all? So why? Well, what else is there? Is emotion. Let's go ask question by question. Really, is emotion deeper self, Momo? I'm talking to you. What do you think? Is happiness the main thing in life? Happiness, meaning, richness, fullness, however you want to call it. Could all be the main thing. You are the one that puts words on it. You are the one that decides what the main thing is in your life. Your main thing could even be sadness or terror. It can be whatever the freak you want. But yes, Momo calls it enjoyment. And for him, it doesn't mean, yeah, I'm talking about myself in the third person. But I'm tapping into a different space of mine. But for him, it doesn't mean enjoyment just of this moment, but enjoyment in this much bigger sense. It's a way of enjoyment of all of life for himself and maximizing enjoyment of the universe. That is his, that is my main thing in life. And you have to decide yours, I guess. So, is happiness the main thing? You decide. I think it's a powerful thing. Why would it be a powerful thing? Because if you define happiness as a general sense of living a good life and loving all of life, even the situation, even this moment, even all of your past and all of your future and all your emotions and every situation, the whole crazy dance of life, the whole journey, the ups and downs, the scary monsters in this journey. If you love it all, think that results into happiness, and at the same time, while loving it all, always being excited for the next step in the journey and for for what comes next, and moving forward on that trip. Interesting. I love listening to what I have to say about these topics. I'm learning a lot. Okay, how do we achieve it? Live, be it. That's what I already talked about, basically. Accepting and loving what is, and then moving forward, and uh, accepting fully and loving your emotion, and then defining your feelings all as positive, as serving for you, no matter what your emotion is. You define it as there for you, not to you. What if all of life was happening for you, not to you? And then I will share all the tools I know to master once, and then that's how to be happy, at least in the moment, and in the long term, is by constantly doing that and living from timid noske, from after you recognize yourself, living from who you are at your core, and by always either never getting stuck in a victim mindset and of saying, hey, I can't change it, and then I'm just like, oh no, I'm a victim of my situation. No. You love the situation, even if it's shitty. Like, if I would understand right now what I understood back then, I would have loved that that this guy was hitting me with this water bottle for half an hour. I would have loved this, because I know that I can rise up to this situation, and if I would have actually back then just was like, oh, I love this. This is gonna be exciting, and just stood up and started dancing with him to confuse him totally, you know? It could just have been a side moment. And all the boys wanting to trip me over, and the girls didn't want to talk to me. If I just would have loved it, which I all actually later on did sometimes. But if I would have just loved it in the sense of accepting it, like someone killed your kid. Okay? How do you deal with that? How do you still stay happy? Your blueprint doesn't match your reality at all. You expected to have a nice evening dinner right now with your kid, and instead you're sitting at her or his grave. How do you stay happy in that situation, man? How do you say, hey, I love the situation? I get it, it's hard. How do you accept that situation? Not just in a way of, oh yeah, I accept that, by pushing it away, but by fully feeling it, not by fully emoting it. That's the better expression. And loving all those feelings that come up. It's okay to cry your freaking heart out. And it's okay to sometimes the even more horrible thing is when something happened to someone that you care about, and you feel and you don't emote so much, and you're like, there's a feeling of happiness in you, and you don't understand it. That is the weirdest thing. And then you feel like shit, because of it, because you emote happy. But maybe your body and your heart is just much deeper connected with what is and what is true for you right now. And maybe you should just celebrate his life for this moment. And that's the meaning you can give for it. Or you can create your meaning, you see? And let's get back to that example of this total blueprint unmatch of reality, that total destroyment when your kid maybe got killed, and you're sitting at his or her grave, and like freak. How do you deal with that? How do you love that? What I would actually do is go through the emotions, love every emotion that comes up, fully love every emotion that comes up. It's all okay. And put the meaning of all of this is that it's happening for you. Yes. Even this situation and all the emotions that are coming through you, they are happening for you. And then focus on what is good. Maybe you went and you kissed her once before she died at that morning. Maybe you focus on all the good times that you had with her. Or let's say her. Maybe you focus on how you will integrate this experience in your life and how much you learned through this moment. And how you can, after you loved every emotion that came up, help others in similar situations. And how you can honor her death in that way, by serving on a new level that you could otherwise have never gone to. Bringing the world to a new consciousness. Like, I know what a situation, but it all comes down to that. And then you can, even in those situations, create happiness. Viktor Frankl wrote this book. It's called The Search for Meaning. And he was in a concentration camp under Hitler. And he found a sense of meaning. He found a sense of happiness, even there, by making all of what happened to him, by focusing on what he will do when he comes out of this, by always focusing on there will be a future, and by putting the meaning on it, I will use this situation so something like this will never happen again. I commit to that. And he used that situation to research what is the difference between those people that survive and that live, that still have like this spark in their eyes, and those that die really quickly. And it's their search for for never judging any situation or emotion, and never judging any emotion. I'm not sure. Some situations are just negative because especially in the moment, because they don't at all represent the situation, but at the same time, meaning the blueprint, it doesn't all like what you expected from life was so different in some situations. Like you didn't expect to live in or to come into a concentration camp as a Jew under Hitler. Viktor Frankl didn't expect that. I'm sure of that. And still, he used that situation and gave it a positive meaning. And the meaning is also often in hard situations that you use it to serve and help others. And I think the first step before actually giving the situation a positive meaning is to accept your emotions and give them a positive meaning, that they are there for you in that situation. Your physical, emotional reactions. It's okay to cry your heart out, but you're crying your heart out because it's such a momentous moment of change where you decide to step to a higher level of consciousness. Not a moment where you break down. It's a moment where you break through. Whew, this was intense. I know. How do we achieve live be it? Then I will share all the tools I know to master one's feelings, how to deal with emotions effectively, while also staying authentic and being true to yourself. Yeah, as I told you, I got away from my authenticity, I feel like. I just still seemed authentic, but I wasn't fully integrated with also my dark sides and the parts of me that I labeled as negative, the things that I labeled as negative. And that's why I had to also explain that split between emotions and feelings. That was really, for me, good, at least. How did you find it? I will show you that there are no negative or positive emotions. As I told you, there are just those primary emotions: anger, happiness, surprise, disgust, sadness, fear, and there are specific phases and specific physiology associated with those 6 primary emotions. And none of them are negative or positive. And of course there are some other emotions underneath those emotions. More specific, what kind of fear are you feeling? But I would say those what kind of feelings, emotions are your feelings, because it's already putting a meaning on the happiness feeling. Like you can feel happy, but you can give it still the meaning of, oh, I'm just faking being happy for others, and I'm not truly feeling happy. And you can change that. Like you can even make happiness when you're emoting happiness, or like I told you earlier, or I shouldn't be having emoting happiness while something happened to a friend of mine, or like he had an accident, and I shouldn't be having those emotions, and you feel shit even though you're emoting happiness, and the emotion isn't negative or positive. You make it something. We will do a few exercises that help you access and create any feeling you want at any moment. All right, we can do that. So, for this, we are using the TRIAD and the dial. The dial is super easy. If you want to make any emotion, anything, any state inside of you, any feeling inside of you, stronger or less strong, you can use the dial. And feelings are all mental and judgment of emotions and situations. And the coolest thing is, you can use the dial not just to change your emotions, to change your presence, but it even works with how much you enjoy, for instance, a pizza or a salad. Like I can, through using the dial, I can make myself. I don't normally like salad. I can make myself adore and love salad, and I can make myself hate pasta and muesli, which I actually love for for a moment. And I could train myself to fully hate muesli and pasta and absolutely love um, uh, salads, you know, through that dial. And it's so easy, um, but it's basically let's use it. Um, I remember when I used it um, with something to eat. If you got something to eat, you can use that. I don't want to make anything that I have around me bad because I want to eat it later. And I remember when I first did this exercise, I got some. I didn't have much. I was in a at a rock, and I only had uh, like a little bit of food left, and but I wanted to try this exercise so badly. So what I did, I took some of that food that I had, and I wanted to eat it, and I was really looking forward to it. And then I did this exercise, and it made it worse and worse in my mind. And in the end, I felt like disgusted, and I threw it on the ground, and it broke and was everywhere, and I was like so turned wow, by this food that I just wanted to eat a few minutes earlier. And then I changed back and I was like, oh no, what did I do? And you may do that unconsciously quite often. And you can also make yourself love things. And it's so easy. If you have a food, you can just take it and ask yourself, how much do I like these sunglasses or this apple that I have in front of me? From 1 to 10. That's basically. And then you say, okay, I like these sunglasses. 4. Like 3.54. Okay. And then you ask yourself, okay, what would I have to do in my mind if I didn't, if like, what would I have to do to make these sunglasses feel like a 6 to me, or maybe a 7? What would I have to do with them? Okay, I imagine them being like making myself look extremely sexy, and I imagine them wearing them in the summer breeze and walking on a hot beach, and women complimenting, oh my god, your sunglasses are so looking so good, and I already like wanna wear it more. And I imagine myself uh, like really coolly wearing it, and imagine these also have already been worn and were designed. And now I'm making it, how can I make this an 8? And now I'm imagining, okay, they are created by Elon Musk, and he gave it to me as a personal gift. And you see what I'm doing? I'm basically mind fucking myself. But how you can use it in your everyday life is, and you can also, what could I do to make it a 2 or 1? And then you can make it really look disgusting and smell different, and make like the food, you can imagine it makes you sick, and you will vomit if you eat it, and you imagine it being too warm or too cold, like something. And yeah, you can change how you feel about the food by changing the words you put on it, what you focus on. Maybe you focus on, like, if I would want to make it better, I focus on all the scratches that it already has, how it's from from some kind of like it was just some kind of cruise gift thingy that is like a throwaway classes, and it's already like it's so boring, and it has like a lot of fat stuff on there. Like, whoa, I like, it's not so sexy anymore, you see. um and the same thing you could with the food, you could focus on like fat or whatever it is in there. And then you can also use this dial for for instance presence. That's something I love to do every time I stand in a line. I learned that one from Brandon Burchard. Every time I stand and wait in a line, I ask myself, from 1 to 10, how present am I right now? Okay, I'm at a 4. And then I ask myself, but what kind of man do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to be? And what kind of presence should I have, or do I want to have? And I'm like, oh, I want to have at least an 8 right now. And then I'm like, okay, what can I do to get from the 3 I'm at, scrolling all day, to the 8? Okay, first, what can I do to get to a 5? Okay, I can stand up more, I can look everyone in the eye. Okay, what can I do to get to a 7? I can breathe differently. I can tap into my body. I can feel everything around me. What can I do to get to an 8 or a 9? Okay, I can feel every movement. I can scan my whole body and then scan all of my surroundings and then make every move with intention. And boom, I'm there, present, right there with you in this moment. Everything else disappears and we're just here. And you see how I instantly raised my presence, just not by even changing my physiology, not by jumping around, not by changing big the meaning or the focus, just by deciding I'm gonna get to a higher level. You don't even have to change the meaning sometimes. Sometimes you just say, okay, I want to be at an 8. Body, be at an 8 of presence, be at a 9 of presence, and you can do this. And the cool thing is, if you want to strengthen the emotion, you use the dial to even take it a level higher and higher. Alright. So, how can you feel any feeling at any moment? Basically, for one, the mind can't differentiate between a situation that is real or that you just create in your mind. So you can create any situation, then use that emotion and interpret the emotion into a feeling that is so powerful, and then use the dial to make that feeling that you have stronger and stronger and stronger until you get to an 11 out of 10 and you are just fully into the flood, and you take more and more situations, maybe stuff that happened to you that represent this emotion and you can interpret as a feeling, and then you stack all these situations on top of each other and all those emotions and feelings, and you stack them, and then you turn the dial up and you make it double as strong and triple so strong, and then you just feel all of this vibrancy or this gratitude or this love or this pride or this certainty, whatever emotion you want to create, and you dial it up through the dial we just learned, and boom, you can create any emotion you want like an actor in you. And you can actually boom, not emotion, I'm so sorry, you can create any feeling, but even any emotion by changing what the situation is, by imagining it, and then moving as if you were in that situation, by vibrantly going with your whole triad in a situation that even is in your mind. You can even change your emotions. Yeah. And you can by that create an emotional flood where you just flood yourself with a specific emotion. And I created actually 4 emotional floods for the 4 primary emotional needs: certainty, uncertainty, meaning also freedom, um, significance. Everyone needs significance, and love for connection. And you can just create those feelings in you every morning and start into your day with those already flooded. Just take one moment of your life. We already did a few floods while we created the one-page life plan. Like, just create one moment where you felt fully certain, for instance, where you just felt, boom, I know what I'm doing. I know, like, you felt like you were right there in clarity. You felt so certain. Maybe it's just like I felt certain that this next step will work and that the ground won't break in. You felt certain that you can lean back. Like, just now, I felt certain that something will catch me when I lean back. And it did. How awesome is that? By the way, yes, everything seems to still work. Okay. And I wasn't fully certain. Okay. Go take another moment where you felt fully certain and put it in you and breathe and move your full physiology like in a moment where you were fully certain. Or you can even invent a moment. Imagine you are in a movie scene and you're a character that is fully certain and he is clear on what he wants to do. You are Sherlock Holmes and you just solved everything and you know all of what happened and you're just certain. Boom. How do you move? How do you breathe? How do you stand? How do you sit? How do you formulate your words? How do you describe this situation? How do you use words to describe what you're feeling right now? What are you focusing on? Where are you focusing? How is your focus? Is it wide or is it very small? Is it intense? Where are your shoulders? How are you breathing? Exactly. What are you certain about so much in this moment? Boom, you know what you are certain about. And now you dial it up and make this emotion 2 times stronger. Boom. Where are you right now? Okay, from 1 to 10, where are you right now? If you are at a 6, make it an 8. If you are at an 8, make it a freaking 9. If you are at a 9, make it a 10. And feel 10 out of 10 certainty. And now, I know it sounds impossible, but a muscle grows when you push it a little over its limit. So make it an 11 just for a moment. Boom, you're so certain. You're more certain than it's even normally possible for you, and it's not even in your consciousness, but you know what you're doing right now. And that is where you are. Boom, let's come back into a normal state. But do you feel how if you just stepped into that kind of certainty and you trained your muscle to push yourself a little bit over 10, over your current 10, because you can always go a step further. There's always another level. Like, that's the same with muscles. You push yourself just a little bit over the top. What is the most effective push-ups from 10 if you do 10 push-ups? No, it's not the last one. It's the 11th one. It's when you push yourself even further than you're even one step further. If you go 11 out of 10, this is when you stand out. This is outstanding. You're not just excellent, you're outstanding. This is where all the results are. Alright? This is where you grow. Whoopsie. This was cool. So this is a quick emotional flood. Yeah. And then access and create any feeling you want at any moment. And we will talk about what life is and how your blueprint of how life should work majorly affect your happiness and how to solve the happiness equation. Oh yeah, what life is and how to solve the happiness equation we already talked about. But what life is what I also could talk about is that affects your blueprint. What metaphor do you use for life subconsciously? Do you think life is a war and you have to run it strategically? Do you think life is a dance? Life is a journey? Life is an adventure? Life is a daily fight? Life is a monotonous nothingness? What metaphor do you use for yourself? What words do you put even on the experience of the situation of life? Where do you focus on in life? How do you move yourself through life? How do you do the triad in life? Yeah, you can just reflect on those questions. If you want, you can take a moment and just write a little bit about that. Come up just now, if you had to answer it. Life is... Come up with a metaphor. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah. Also, life is an adventure, a dance. Do you see how it's already completely different if you interpret all of life as a journey where the way counts, as a growth traveler's journey, as a backpacking experience. And of course, I will also tell you the one tool that Tony taught me, blah blah blah, the triad, that helped me get over my first crush for over 6 years in minutes. So what happened is, after I said, "Hi, I'm gonna change classes," after that bullying thing happened, I said, "Okay, I'm gonna change stuff. I'm gonna change classes. I'm gonna make myself ask that girl out and get either find a way to let go of her or make her my girlfriend." And I would even change schools, and I said, "Hey, enough is enough. I'm gonna change this." And then, to change it, I started listening to my first person development books, because I didn't get myself to talk to that girl, and about my first love, or I didn't get myself to ask her out, like, "Hey, I want to go on a date with you." That was so scary for me, because my whole life was based around this. I had already dreamed up how my life is gonna be, how I'm gonna marry her, how we are gonna create a life together. And it's funny thinking back now. And yeah, by the way, this is a great tool. Sometimes in the moment, it's great to think about how you will think about that situation years and years from now, 10 years from now. How will you think about that moment that is so crazy right now? Like asking that girl out. And I was always seeing her with a group of girls, and I just couldn't get to her. And she didn't make it easy. And she seemed to never be just walking around alone, even though we were at the same school. And then what I did is, I listened to that first Tony Robbins book. He explained the principle of the triad, and I said, what if I actually could plan emotions? Or now we know if I could plan feelings, meaning I could map out what my triad will be if she reacts this way. What meaning will I put on that situation? What will I focus on? How will I move? If I get a no, if she doesn't want to go on a date with me, and if I get a yes, if she wants to go on a date with me. I already mapped it out. So whatever she said, or if I get it, I don't know. I already knew what my triad will be, and I designed it in a way where whatever happens, it's a win for me. You see? If she said yes, I will show her that I'm the best freaking boyfriend anyone could ever have, and I would make her happy, and create an amazing, beautiful date for us. And if she says no, I would let go of her, but I would give it the meaning that this is the moment where I take charge of my life, and I would focus on the new start, and the meaning I gave it, how I moved was that was swimming, and I decided that I will just do some kind of sports, and during that I will focus on this is a new start, and the meaning I will give it is I will create a life that I love. And this was the moment where I decided I will create a life that I love. Back then, it was actually I will create a life that I love, no matter who I'm with or what happens outside of me. I didn't want to make it put it put my happiness and my life at um, at the expense of anyone else. Meaning, not imagine a life with one girl and put all the pressure basically on her to make my life good. You see, that's basically the decision that I made, and this is what got me into personal development, because this helped me so much to map out those triads back then. That's why I listened to everything from Tony Robbins, and then what every mentor that he mentioned, I also listened to, and then I went to his events, and I went to other events, and that's how I got into all this stuff back then. Yeah, of course, love, always the biggest growth tool. Um, and now we are gonna talk about a few things that I also put into the title and that also I thought about. Ba-da-bum. Um, yeah, and more. For one, naming. That's a good one. I'm just sharing a few tools now to change your feelings, and then at the end we will come back to the concept of happiness in life and how I see life, and that's gonna be powerful as well. But naming is cool. It's basically training a part of you that you want to show up uh, every day or more often. Like, who are you when you are at your job, and not just when you are at your job, when you are fully in love with your job and you're crushing it at your job. What name would you give that person when that person shows up? Or who are you when you're fully in love uh, with your life? And give it a name. Who are you when you are fully connected with your core self and you are your core self? Give that a name. I call it my mojo. Okay? But give it your own name, because then you can call it up and you say, mojo, activate, and do your power move, and boom, you're there. You instantly call out the physiology of that person. You focus as that person. You step into that person much more easily if you name it. Yeah, like anything you name it. Names have a great power. Then triggers. Name could be one of the triggers, but if you want to train yourself to every time you come into the office, you start to feel alive and you start to feel powerful, you just do an emotional flood every time you walk through the door of your office. And every time you see it, every time you just see the office door, you start thinking of every moment you felt powerful, full of certainty, and just full of joy. I don't know what you want to feel, and you call out that part of you that feels that is your core self. Imagine you did that every that time you saw it, and after a while it will get so ingrained in you that every time you walk into your office and you see the front desk, you instantly tap into that part of you almost subconsciously, and it will take less and less effort, and you automatically create that feeling that this situation means that you're stepping into your power. I even did that with my morning alarm. I associated my morning alarm with, hey, a new day starts. And how I did it is by in the evening, or you can do it any time during the day, just now, go into your bed, put in an alarm, and then go put the alarm in 1 minute, then go to bed. And as soon as the alarm starts, you jump out of bed, you instantly are fully there, you're present, you step into your power, and you do your power move, and then you just take 30 seconds, are feeling this, and then you go back and you do this 2, 3, 4 times, and then in the next morning, as soon as the alarm goes, boom, you're back there, you're full of passion, you're fully alive, and that way you can get yourself a kickstart into your day, because you associated that song with that thing, and it will get easier and easier. That really works. It's so weird. All right, this is another cool tool. Energy sending. Oh, that's a nice one. There are mirror neurons in the brain. And whenever I talk in a certain way, when I talked about that moment where the girl died, and the girl was killed, and the mother expected to sit on the table with her little girl and have a nice dinner, and instead she is sitting there seeing her girl dead and sitting at her grave. You just now again probably felt that shift of emotion, not just in me but also in you, because we mirror each other, and you can send an energy and affect everyone around you through your feelings. And you can even imagine those energies as colors and as forms, and imagine sending them through the camera or to another person. And what I sometimes do, for instance, if I want to create a deeper connection with someone, I put us two into a either golden or pink bubble, so it's just us two. And even though it's just happening in myself, it changes my focus and it changes the meaning of the situation. It's just us two in this bubble. And she senses this feeling through her mirror neurons, and she subconsciously also creates this bubble. She doesn't even know it, or he. This sounds like a really weird pickup trick right now. And to be honest, it was from my time where I studied charisma. And back then I also studied pickup. I don't, no. I love that I did that, because it taught me so much about how stupid that is, and about how much more important it is that you figure out who you are, and that you become a romance artist much more than a pickup artist, and that you come from a place of loving women, not wanting them to have sex with you and shaping yourself to be someone that they want to have sex with and stuff like that. Yeah, that's come back into your heart, man. Come back into actually feeling something, not just wanting to work them out like a puzzle. Yeah. But we will talk more about that when we talk about relationships. Yeah, but I also studied charisma, and charisma is a mix of presence, and you can just imagine like your senses, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, being like fully there. That's what he called vacuum. Then secondly, it is power, and you can just imagine being an animal that you find powerful, like an eagle or a lion. And then the third thing is warmth, and you can just send a red energy or put yourself into a bubble with that person to create that sense of connection with that person. So you are fully there. You see? And that is a pretty powerful thing. Power, presence. warmth combined. Has a very charismatic feel to it. And that's what I learned back then. So yeah, but uh what did I want to say? Yeah, that's energy sending. And there's much more in my course. It's another course, it's called Emotionsatem, meaning emotional breath. But atem is actually an abbreviation um, for uh, Alltag, meaning everyday life, how you train your emotions in your everyday life and make them so in your everyday life you are having mostly good emotions. Then T is all about training and fitness, how you get better at this, creating emotions on command, creating any emotion on command. Then that was the second module. The third module was E, was all about energy and also energy sending. This was the module on energy sending. And then M was about that moment between, actually about that moment between emotion and feeling, and widening that gap of that moment and actually recognizing that and stepping into that and creating a new meaning and a new focus in that moment and all about that moment. That was were the 4 modules of that course. And I will also somehow find it and put it into the description if I can still find it. I uploaded it once, so I'm not sure if I can find everything. I will do my best. All right. And yeah, there came a lot of stuff up there, but let's circle back to happiness. I find it really fun that I'm still in my bathing robe. For me, let's see if I'm still live. Just one moment. Yeah, cool. Happiness. For me, happiness is explore, enjoy, share. Broken down. For me, happiness masters are kids that are fully themselves still, and the best people to model are kids that are just running around, exploring what they can do and what the world is all about, with pure curiosity and excitement about everything, interpreting everything that happens as a just another wow, that is possible, wow, that's cool. You see, that they fully accept what is, and then they enjoy it. They actually just enjoy what they find and don't judge their emotions. Like, they fall down and they cry and they scream, but they don't judge their emotions at all. And they just, I like, I sometimes think they actually like crying, you know? The feeling isn't bad. They aren't feeling bad because they are emoting bad. Um, necessarily. Tell me what you think. But and then they are always sharing everything that they find. I remember watching I actually worked in a kindergarten, and I also remember watching a group of kids from another kindergarten and just doing that just after I found out about my life motto. And I saw, wow, they are the masters of doing exactly what I want to learn how to do now, exploring, enjoying, sharing. And this is when they are doing that, when they're fully into that mode, that's when they are the most happy, and that's when we all the most happy. And I think happiness is A, it's two things. It's A, being you and being connected with who you are and your heart, and just exploring, enjoying, sharing in the moment. And on the other hand, it's also this deeper sense of general meaningfulness and loving relationships and work and creating a meaningful life. Creating a happy life is all about creating meaningful relationship and meaningful work, in my opinion, in the long run, by exploring, enjoying, and sharing along the way everything you find, like a little kid that at the same time isn't is already grown out the victim mentality and takes charge of her life and takes responsibility of his or its life, you know, and creates and designs his life, creates and designs her meaning. That's what's happiness for me. Whoa, that was a good one. Don't you think so? Thank you so much for listening to this live stream. We will see each other tomorrow. And tomorrow we will probably, I don't know yet, but probably we will talk about actually creating clarity on what you want in that category of emotions. Now you know what is possible. Now you know a few tools. And tomorrow we will talk about getting clarity in your emotions, meaning A, what do you believe are emotions? We will talk about what I believe as well there a little bit more again, but I already told you basically. So tomorrow it's all about you. What do you believe about emotions and feelings and the state? And then about happiness. And then we will write down your vision for that category. You will write down the beliefs and how you will get there and what your plan is, what your habits will be. You know, we will just create a little plan just about your emotions and mastering them, because it's one of the most important topics, because from there you move through the world. And if you can step into a state and a feeling of being fully motivated, or a state of resourcefulness, you can create anything else. Well then, that was good. Thank you so much. Explore, enjoy, share, and see you tomorrow.